Oh, wow. All right. I'm trying to get my camera on. I believe that my cam link is no longer working. I'm trying to fix it right now. Okay. Interesting. Ah, nothing? Okay. And we're back. You want to talk about an easy way to an easy way to make you feel very uncomfortable about your life. I have an Elgato connection and it requires a cam link. And I was cleaning my basement the other day and I found this cam link. You could probably see it the other day. And if you look kind of sort of, you can see it's bent. There you go. That's a good view. You can see that it's bent. And I found it and I have one that I know works. I've bent like four of these, man. These are $100 a pop. That shit sucks when it bends. And but I put it in and it worked. So I said, fuck it. I might as well keep using it until it doesn't work. And then I thought to myself, I have a spare anyway. All right. I put the other one back in that works. And we're live again. We have a lot of background jumping. I guess the camera's waiting for me to settle in. If you watch this, this is gonna be clunky. This is part of the I think apropos, man. This is part of the things that when it doesn't go well, it can make us feel uncomfortable. And I was in a really good flow, I think. And now I'm trying to return back to that state of mind. I believe where I was going with this was momentum. And if you watched to where we were at when the first live stream ended, I was gaining momentum. I now don't have the momentum. My energy's a little bit lower. But okay, let's finish the point out and let's close out the day. I know I set my alarm for 5 a.m. So I will be terminating this shortly. 12 days in, we took risks. We're continuing to take risks. I was getting into circadian rhythm and the emotional power of being in that space. And now I can see little. Now everything's starting to irritate me. That's life. What do we do? Do we persist? We persist and we push through. The emotional experience, as it's happening to me right now, not only do I probably have nobody watching, not only have I now gone through my third setup of a live stream. The first one I cut down because I wasn't prepared. The second one I cut down because I had a device and an infrastructure malfunction. And the third one here, I'm trying to carry over the effect of what I was just saying and move it on to something positive. And that's a lesson I think for us to think that we could have the best intentions some days. We could have all the plans we want, and there's just some things we can't control. And when we get stuck in things we can't control and we allow the uncontrollables to not just marinate, because we talk about ruminating. Essentially, I think of it like marinating. It's just this pot of thoughts, right, that are bubbling all the time. And it's come to a boil. And at no point when you're having difficulties and you feel stuck, this is why I was going to go into momentum. If at no point you went and started to change the pot, at least dump the water and fill it back up with some new thoughts, where you're just stuck with all these bubbling thoughts of discomfort. And that can put a pause on anything. If you don't feel strong enough to get over yourself, everything stops. Everything stops. So in that way, just because you have a plan, just because you've built up momentum, just because you have the right intention, just because you're making progress, just because you're doing everything God might have asked you to do and you're walking the path you were told to walk, doesn't mean it's going to come out exactly the way you see it. Doesn't mean it's going to come out exactly the way it was told to you. Doesn't mean it's going to work at all, really. But what is working at all times is how you feel about yourself. That's why I think the Do You rules is so important. That's why I focus on there is neuroscience. There is a lot that we can learn and apply that we'll talk about through the evolution of our journey together. But it comes down to how you're thinking, which ultimately comes down to how you're feeling, because it comes down to how you're feeling in order to understand what you're thinking. And the power of the practices we go through are for situations like this. When I have full control and I did everything I thought I was supposed to do, and something of adversity, I think a lot of times too, we believe that adversity is this obvious demon and darkness that comes in front of us. And we're sort of like, oh, how do I navigate the devil? Right? I believe Western culture is so big that way. We get stuck that the object in front of us is going to be this really big, obvious obstacle. And we got to climb this really long and arduous hill. But that's not the truth. At least not all the time. In the way that I believe we have to dominate the little things in order to dominate and ultimately become whatever it is we want to become. Because like I said yesterday, even as influencing becomes my life, there still is no determination on how many hours am I actually going to be putting into what I'm doing right now. I don't know the answer yet. And while this is a very big piece of what will dictate how my life goes, there's still so many other things that dictate how my life goes. And even those things that might be less in time, there's more little things that add up to just the big thing. And in that way, the obstacle is not always the big bad wolf, right? The obstacle is, and I think that's how we get deceived. It's when your cam link breaks. It's when you think you got your circadian rhythm going, but somehow you oversleep the alarm clock. And now you're like, oh, I said I was going to get up at 3:30. I've been getting up at 3:30 every day for 11 days straight. Why it's 4 o'clock? Why did I miss the alarm? Why didn't I get up? Or I had my clothes picked out. I had everything set up, but I fell going down the stairs. There's just so many things, that occur that you can't plan for, and that are small, that can stop you. It's almost like you stepped on a thumbtack. It's just a little thumbtack, but when you step on it, it hurts really bad, and it makes you question: do I want to keep going forward with my life? Part of what we do here is to ensure that when those thoughts come up, we don't stay stuck. Because the longer we stay stuck in those little things, the more we find it difficult to do the big things. And so what I'll touch on very briefly to encourage you and encourage myself, inspire you and inspire myself, hopefully, as today hasn't gone according to exactly how I would have wanted it to go, which is also, you think about, if I'm building momentum and I believe I'm getting better at this, and I can think I felt like yesterday's stream was really dope, and I think I went like an hour and 45 minutes. I feel like right now I can't wait to stop this because I don't feel the way I felt yesterday. What this also means, though, is I go up, I go down. We go up, we go down. And the way we can't always be up here, I gotta appreciate that I'm gonna be down here. I gotta suck it up. I gotta keep going. I gotta understand that I can push through this. And so if there's any hope around building hope, it's that momentum allows you the possibility to say, well, I've been consistent. I've been doing what I said I was gonna do. Everything we did last week, everything we did yesterday, we bring it to a close. Today for me starts a new week. And I'm going to continue, if for nothing else, doing exactly what I said I would do, following the plan I said I would follow. Because if there's nothing else I've learned so far to this point, it's this. Part of the little things that will stop you, part of the little things that will be presented to you, it's a challenge to see, are you going to quit? I think a lot of times we think I turn the mic off and that means quitting. But a lot of times too, it's like, you see, maybe I shouldn't go this way, I should take a left. Maybe I shouldn't go this way, I should make a right. Maybe I should go back to where I was coming from. Maybe I should change this a little bit. No. No. No, no, no. Don't change anything. Even when the experience is not what you want it to be, even when you've been doing the same thing for 11 days straight, maybe 1,000 days straight, maybe 100,000 days straight, I don't know that equates to a life we can live. It's my timer going off to let me know it's so much time. It's time to start doing my cardio. Regardless of the adversity, if you chose a path and you chose something to do for yourself to improve, don't deviate. Regardless of what happens, regardless of what's been presented in front of you, you got to keep going. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if you feel like it's getting a little awkward, even if you feel like it's not going to work, you're teaching yourself, and I think we'll get into momentum tomorrow because I've met my quota for today, right? I talk about it's anywhere from 15 minutes to 45 minutes. I try not to go over an hour because I have other priorities and other obligations to get to that keep me feeling good about my life. The guarantee is if you stop, you definitely won't get there. But in the same way, stopping doesn't always mean shutting the lights all the way off. It means deviating from the path, taking a different route, going another direction because you think it might give you something that you're not getting currently in the direction you're moving. Don't do that. Stay on the path, go through the uncomfortable days, step on all the thumbtacks and the nails, and understand it's going to be a little bit painful. Even when you plan for the best, the worst can still happen. Even when you plan for the worst and you make yourself comfortable, you can still find yourself uncomfortable. Even when you start creating thoughts around centeredness and peace and tranquility and contentment, you will face days that you don't feel content, you feel disrupted, you feel uncomfortable, you feel the heat. I always say, and I've learned to understand, without that discomfort, you wouldn't know you're comfortable. Without the hate, you wouldn't know the love. Without the hot, you wouldn't know the cold. We got to fight. It's a journey towards self-improvement. And Mama said there'll be days like this, right? Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.